Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Welcome, everyone, to City Alpha 3, one of the Nerd Party's dedicated Star Trek shows. I'm your host, Philip Gilfus. I'm joined, as always, by my animated co-hosts, Darren Moser and Daniel Prue. Gentlemen, how has your Star Trek week been going?
Oh, we're living the life, Philip. It's Star Trek every week, all the time, 24/7. I can't find time for anything else.
Time.
Now, are you calling me animated just in general, or is it just that during this 10-week period?
Yes, after that I'll be calling you far flung into the future, co-host.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, I accept it.
Yes. Of course, we're going to be continuing our reviews of Season 1 of Star Trek Lower Decks. We'll be talking about Episode 3, Temporal Edict. And just in time, we're going to have a wonderful guest to help us with that, and that is Grace. Grace, welcome back to City Alpha 3.
Thank you. When does your wonderful guest get here?
Yeah, they were supposed to come up in about 60, I don't know. But anyway, there's just a red clock that's ticking. Hopefully they'll be here by then.
They've got a time to work. There's a time limit to work within here. I hope they can respect that. Yes. Otherwise, that's incredibly unprofessional of them.
Yeah. Because they were actually going to do the fight to the death. So if they don't show up, Grace, I'm afraid.
Can't do the Kirk hand that well. This is going to be rough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're all going to practice putting our hands together into a fist.
We mock it, but it was highly effective in this episode.
It was unreasonably effective, and I appreciate that.
Well, apparently you have to take your shirt off for it to actually...
No, you don't take your shirt off, Darren. You
gives
rip your shirt off. You remove it violently.
It's a buff to your stats. That's what it does.
I always thought it was just supposed to be the natural tear that was just a Velcro inseam, but apparently you have to the whole thing, I guess. Anyway, all right, well, obviously we're going to get into it, so let's just do a quick general thoughts round robin. We're in our third episode, as I say, and we've sort of had similar but somewhat varying opinions. But Grace, we have not heard from you, of course, here yet about your thoughts and reactions and feelings about Star Trek Lower Decks in general and in this episode. But I guess, so up to now in episodes 1 or 2, what's sort of been your general thoughts about Lower Decks?
So far, I have no issue. I've been seeing people having genuine upset reactions over it, but honestly, if I can paraphrase someone who is much smarter than I am, I wouldn't want to be a part of any club that couldn't take the piss out of its members every now and then. So honestly, one of the beautiful things about Star Trek is all its incredible wackiness, and being able to make fun of that, I think, is important, especially because we are in sort of a point where the cultural zeitgeist in a lot of rebooting and a lot of continuing franchises is keeping things kind of dark and kind of on the more adult-oriented sense of things. So I think I kind of appreciate that this is just something that is devoted entirely to saying, yeah, this is ridiculous and silly. Let's enjoy that. Because why not?
And it has... and of course, all taste are personal or subjective or whatever, but you're obviously, if I can say so, a very funny person. Has this tone? Is this sort of your brand of humor? So some folks are like, well, I like funny stuff, but this isn't necessarily it.
I think we're all in a position right now where we could use a laugh. So just in the world at large. So I find it funny. I am at a point where I'm waiting to see what happens more long run. Mm-hmm. So I'm reserving my judgment on that point. Other than that, it's been fun. It's been fun. And,
sure.
And there's been
7 more episodes to form an opinion.
Yeah, and it's been full of little Easter eggs and stuff. You can go, did you see that? So what's not to like?
Cool. All right. Well, let's Darren, what's sort of your turbo lift thoughts? Because it's not like an elevator pitch anymore. So what are your turbo lift thoughts and just general on on episode 3 before we get into it?
The Jeffries tubes thoughts. You'd have to be huffing and
there
puffing the whole way like you're climbing.
And you go whenever you're ready.
Gosh, I hate it. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's this was not my favorite episode of Lower Decks. I liked all the time humor, but I really don't understand the point of Boimler. Like, I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to do with this character.
The Huffy one?
Because, kind of like you said last week, Philip, well, it's like, you say, like, okay, what is it?
No, here's the thing. I'm going to interrupt you a little bit here, Darren.
Yeah, no,
because
go
we
for
had
it,
a big conversation about this last week, and we talked about how Boimler keeps being shown as this screw up and this
Brooke
like
smart.
He's just not good. It doesn't excel at anything, so he's more annoying than anything. He doesn't have any sort of competency. And here we are in this whole episode. He is thriving, man. He is on top. I was so excited because we literally had an entire conversation about this last week, and I'm like, it fits his character. So I actually found him less offensive this week than in the previous weeks because, for the most part, he was a little annoying still. He still found his way to be obnoxious.
That's the character's point right there.
Right. But he was also doing something well, and that was nice to see. So
That is true. That's true. No, I think, yeah, Boimler was in his element, as it were, because, again, he was the only one whose pad was always green, that he was always on time within his metrics. But maybe, I don't know, maybe
some
it's the
people
A-plot.
are that type A personality, and some people thrive in that situation. So,
but with Mariner, I didn't see why she was competing so. I don't know. There was just, it felt like everybody was kind of all over the map on this one, so I didn't quite get.
Cool. All right. Well, Grace, give us your Boimler defense. Or what's your Boimler edict?
oh, I didn't say it's a defense. I just
okay.
said
An
it was
attack.
fun when we were doing some tech restart up. You guys, I was saying I was excited to give my 2 cents on Boimler because you were earlier saying that you guys weren't, or at least some of you hadn't really got why he was there. And for me, from like the first episode at the very beginning, I was like, oh, I get it. This guy is the type A personality type of Star Trek fan. So what we've got here going on is the sort of variation between the fans who are like, no, we have to dig into all of these tiny details. We have to be specific, and we have to analyze everything. Versus the fans who are like, yeah, woo, we're in space. Yeah.
So you're saying when you take a BuzzFeed quiz about what kind of Star Trek fan you are, you either get Mariner or Boimler?
I think that there's a wide range, but I think that those are definitely two subcategories there. And there's usually a little bit of friction between those two groups.
he's the Justin Long character from Galaxy Quest.
Basically, yeah. He worships the people who are, in command, who we're used to seeing all of the other stories be about. He's really more detail-oriented than he probably needs to be, and it can be kind of a pain in the butt to other people sometimes.
Sounds
But
like
you
a
know what?
podcast co-host.
He's genuine there, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
I think a lot of our criticism in the first two episodes with Boimler came from his butting heads, of course, with Mariner. Mm-hmm. And it turns out in this episode we learned that it doesn't matter who you pair up with Mariner. It's going to be the same argument, and it's going to be the same conflict.
She's just really competitive. That's her deal.
And I hope we don't get this every episode, because it was like we're doing the same thing again. We're doing regulations versus not regulations. And does she have to teach this lesson to everyone on the ship as she goes down the line? I hope that's not the case, because I was like, oh, we literally just did this same lesson in the last two episodes.
Are you telling me this is just going to be a straight Ferris Bueller thing, like the whole time? Like Boimler is Cameron? Is that what we're doing? Anyway.
It's possible, but I don't think it's so much Ferris Bueller as it's going to be Ensign Mariner versus the universe.
That seems so.
Fighting with and arguing with whoever she gets into it with.
I was thinking, and we'll get into the storylines in 2 seconds here, but I was, this isn't a criticism of the episode, but like out of the three, and there's only been three, no big deal, but it was like out of the three, this wasn't, necessarily as my favorite compared to like the first one, but, I think I know what it is, guys. No Rutherford. Where's Rutherford in this?
He was there, but very little, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's like, this is my question of like, I asked this, I think, last week. Like, who is Boimler supposed to be the main character? Because I hope not. But like, but it seems to be Mariner and Boimler. I'm like, I'd rather have like 4 even. Like, I want the next, because I know Rutherford had his like B storyline, but I'm like, next episode better not just be, here's Boimler and Mariner again, and then there's the other two doing stuff. I don't know. We'll give them something.
Well,
I'm like, no,
they seem
Rutherford
to
A
be kind of
story.
trying to get us into an ensemble cast situation, so I'm hoping that's more where we're going.
All right, I just want Boimler to have an episode where he's just like 5 seconds in the background.
This was Ransom Week. That's what this was.
Yeah.
And he got to stab people in the foot.
That's true. We learned more about Ransom than we did about any other characters.
You paid for your Jerry O'Connell. You're going to put it to work.
Now,
Which he doesn't often get to say. So.
Now, Grace, I'm curious because we had a bit of a discussion last week. I was under the impression that nobody on the Cerritos knows that Mariner is the captain's daughter.
Yeah, I feel like they'd be treating her really differently and like giving her more space if they knew that her mom was the captain. So
Because I feel like they're setting it up for some sort of
Space, I
reveal
get it.
later on when the other junior officers. I mean, maybe someone in command might know, but like,
Yeah,
the,
like
the
everyone-
junior officers have no idea.
yeah, like everyone had that one kid in their middle school class whose parent was a teacher in the middle school, and no one would let them forget it. So I feel like that is what we would be seeing happen here.
I would like to enter into evidence a scene from the next week's episode, by the way, about my theory that everybody knows and no one cares. And when she is sarcastically giving the Vulcan salute to her mother on the bridge, Ransom's right behind her and does not seem concerned at all or anything like this.
I think upper decks know, but lower decks don't.
Upper decks just don't give a shit.
Yeah, upper decks don't care.
Because I would think if he knew, I mean, again, this is analyzing, but that's what we do, of course. He would have mentioned it this episode, don't you think? He'd be like, "Look, I know you're the captain's daughter, but
That's
like
a
it
good
never
point.
came up." I mean, it doesn't have to, but it just would have made sense. But it
Well,
doesn't have to.
I
It's a
mean,
cartoon.
Boimler, I'm pretty sure doesn't know, especially since the first episode. He's all like, "Wait, aren't we the same age? Like, how have you been on so many, ships and adventures and such?" And I think he would have dropped like, "Oh, it's because you're the captain's daughter,"
Oh, and let's face it, he would have snitched on her so fast if he knew it was to her mom.
Yeah, she was probably
Probably.
enacting Ensign.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the actual story. We talked a little bit, but let's go with the landing party. I don't know if we consider that A or B, but anyway. So basically, as we said, Ransom and Mariner versus the Crystal people from. It looked like Adventure Time, but I don't know. I was just looking at it. I expected like lemon heads or something. But anyway, Daniel, what did you think of this storyline? Any favorite moments or less than favorite moments?
the crystal people.
Yes.
It's.
I mean, F those wood people. I mean, we all know
I
that.
loved
but,
that. I loved that they opened it up and it was just a log. I thought that was hilarious. I don't even know why. Just the visual was a really good gag. But then, what the hell? The big Bajoran dude comes out. Turns out he's wood racist at the end. I don't know.
He's a woodist. He's too materialist for you.
he's an
know if,
elementalist, maybe? Is that what we
Wait, was that a Ferengi that was opening up the case?
No, the
Because
Bolian.
It looked like
I see what you did there.
Oh. Everyone, Darren thought that was a Ferengi moron in your face.
But it's interesting because other than that, I mean, it's all played for silly and fun, and of course, obviously, we get the whole arena references later and stuff like that. But
it's the spear chucking race versus Starfleet trope.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I love they're like, how did they get up here? Like we live on spaceships. No one's gonna die of a spear wound. It's crazy. But obviously, the whole thing is kind of a long setup to this now hypersexual maybe tension between Ransom and Mariner, and I thought that was good. Actually, I kind of bought it. Like after a while, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is a neat pairing," because we don't know anything about Ransom before this episode. But I thought that was fun.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I mean, we know the character type. I mean,
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
when she was
Mariner's
showing her
told us everything we need to know about him. Broad shouldered,
'Cause
he's
when-
got shiny hair, he's in a little bit of control.
I love he was actually writing down his speech. How we come from different worlds.
you got to outline it first before you just extemp. But,
That was good.
I mean, you've got to practice
yeah, what about
with
you?
your speaking voice.
What about you, Darren? What'd you think of the first officer and the handful ensign?
Yeah, I think.
Any scars you want to share with us?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was kind of cool. Again, her. Again, like. maybe it'll click into place once we know who knows and who doesn't know or whatnot as far as her position in the ship. Like, if all the... I would love a scene, like a conference room scene, like before the captain gets there, where all the top-level people are just chatting about Mariner, and then she comes in, they all just, like, shut up, because, like, that would at least tell us kind of how they're playing it. But it's just strange, because is Mariner trying to go for the glory? Is she... Because she's like, I would be the better fighter. So in this moment, it's not even a lower decks versus upper decks things. It's like disobeying a direct command, which is kind of what he throws her in the brig for. But
joke's on you, I love the brig.
Yeah, I love the brig.
I live there.
So I guess I was surprised on how she was dealing with the situation with the XO. I mean, although it in the end it worked out, I guess, but it was hard to see where the story was trying to tell. Like, are they trying to tell the story that... Because I always felt that this was kind of the dumb XO, like, who always thinks he's on top of everything. But then in the end, he was on top of everything. So I'm not sure where they're going with it.
We thought he was Zap Brannigan, and he turned out to actually be Riker. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly. That summed up the 3 minutes that I just said in one concise statement.
That's what I
The
do.
problem with how they're, like, to me, like, portraying Mariner is basically, like, they're giving her Dax, like, sort of, like, experiences. Like, she's supposed to have lived so much and knows so much. It's like, it works with someone like Dax because it's supposed to have happened over, 8 lifetimes. And especially in that joke when Boimler says, we're the same age. Like, how... Like, even if she went off for 5 years, that's still only 5 years of experience. She still thinks she's way smarter and, like, way more experienced than everybody else that she interacts with. And it's like, well, maybe not. I don't know. It just seems like they're pushing that a little too much all the time.
You see, I saw it kind of as more of like an army brat kind of thing. If you grew up with both your parents being high-ranking in Starfleet, you've probably seen some shit from a young age. You've
That's a
been
good point.
probably out
I
there
didn't think
exploring
about
with
that.
them since you were a little kid. I mean, even since you were probably like a baby, if we're looking at a Starship Enterprise situation where they actually do have a kindergarten and a pre-K class on board.
Oh no, the kindergarten has been ejected into space. All the children! That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because of course we're assuming she grew up with them, but of course the parents are stationed apart.
They have a boarding school mentality kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, like maybe she was sent off to school, or maybe she wasn't around the parents, and so
They sent her off to live on a Ferengi freighter for a while, and she
Or
picked
maybe-
up all kinds of weird.
She's a
street
boomer.
smarts.
She's a boomer.
That's it.
boy.
She got sent to a research station where...
She
Figured it
Sweet
out.
She knows where the sweet spot is.
Mystery solved, gang. Mystery solved.
So is that what? Anytime Mariner says something, can I be like, "Okay, boomer"?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
boy. Oh, boy.
That's what.
You have to, because it'll just annoy a bunch of other people who are like, that's not a polite term for people of a certain age.
Oh man, I can hear Hermione saying that. But yeah, I guess. And then again, look, I know it's a cartoon. We're overanalyzing. That's our job. But like,
what we're here
it was a little
for.
confusing me with the two characterizations, because without knowing much about Ransom, for this episode, I'm trying to feel. I mean, we've kind of gotten his sort of brash, square jawedness, whatever, in the other two episodes. But this one, I'm like, okay, is he, as you were saying, is he dumb? But is he capable? Is he both? But like, it kind of went to both. I was a little confused because they're both overconfident. And it's odd to have like similar personalities in a comic situation. Usually it's a lower status, upper status. But like like you were saying, Darren, I think the reason Mariner is because she's extremely overconfident. Now you could say that's earned, but then that's the same thing with Ransom, who's extremely overconfident but also earned. So it's like they're the same.
But he's also
person.
the XO.
Yeah, but again, yeah, I guess it was hard to. I guess the reason I didn't like this episode, and again, this is a very Philip thing, we all know, because I always said, look, it's a cartoon, I'm not taking it seriously, but I'm going to take it a little bit seriously, because I thought with this series it was going to be like the lower decks people are silly and bizarre, but the upper deck people are a little more regular Starfleet. But we learned in this episode, and we haven't gotten through the storyline, but like even the captain and XO are all zany. And I'm like, okay, can we have some grounded? Like, okay, so the whole thing's zany. It's just a zany ship and a zany universe.
Rutherford's the core. He's the grounded one.
That's what I'm saying, and he wasn't there. That's why I was like, I was lost
He
this
is
episode.
the one competent
So
who
that
is keeping this entire ship running.
I know.
I will say that I really liked, and if it's only in like these little glimpses and one-liners, then I'm still okay with it because, like you say, it's because it's animated and the tone is so crazy and off the wall. We're not going to get those really heavy Star Trek episodes, but I like the little bits, the little snippets of the Star Trek attitude, and even in the midst of their crazy, silly arguing that they're doing, he talks to he gives it a line of like, that's how you see us
Our
as
team.
lower decks.
Yeah.
This is our team. We're all together. And I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. That's Star Trek talk right there. I like that. That gets, and that's why I was glad he won the argument at the end, even if he had to stab her in the foot to do it. I thought that was a good.
How many times
a
do you
good
get
little
to
touch.
use that statement? He was right, even though he stabbed her in the foot. I just want us all to appreciate that for a minute.
You do realize you're both fighting over getting killed by Valmar here.
But he just likes to read, so it's really.
I know, I appreciated that, dude.
Maybe we could create a trial system with juries.
I love how they said they stabbed them with law crystals or something like that. Like, that's
Right.
That's how we do.
We've
things
never
on
gotten
our
to
planet.
use the law crystal.
I can tell from your blank faces.
My favorite is the when they're describing, they're like, it's a giant geodesic that we use to legally smush our enemies. And there's a guy just taking off it going, crystals!
Oh, man, that's funny.
Because
Grace.
your culture always needs a hype man.
That's true. So, what'd you think of the away team Grace story between the two characters? And
Well, I thought it was a pretty standard, Star Trek stock story. I thought it served the purpose it needed to. It didn't have to be groundbreaking, but yeah, it was fun.
have you done any? I don't even know the name of that species yet because I'm speciesist, obviously. Have you been doing any graffiti around your town now that you've seen the cool designs?
Crystal graffiti.
Well, I gotta say, I haven't had the time to yet, but I'm very tempted, especially when we got that shot of the graffiti outside, like the whole of the ship. I really liked the idea of going out and doing some on the roof, just so any passing planes can look down and go, nice.
Yes.
Especially if I got to put, like, wood liquor or something. I live in the Evergreen state, so it's extra fitting.
I know, I was trying to, because, I've watched it twice, and I'm probably putting too much in it, because that's what I always do. And I was like, is this supposed to be, like, tree hugger? Like, because I feel like the translation's not going to be perfect. Like, it was sort of like root slicker. I was like, is that, like, their version of tree hugger, maybe? But anyway.
They're just genuinely offended at people who value wood over crystals.
Not crystals, yeah. Crystals is, where and this sort of bleeds into the other story, but I did like sort of like, we don't have any crystals except dilithium crystals, which you cannot have. And then, of course, my other favorite moment was, I don't know. He's like, yeah, I have a phaser. So, okay, done. Why are we being, spear people? All right. But yeah, so let's get on to, I suppose, the main story. I mean, or at least it's because it was the one that caused all the complications for this going on.
The plot motivating story.
Exactly, buffer time. I want that.
Guys, did you know Star Trek Lower Decks has uncovered and named Scotty's Magic? Click this article link to find out more. God, I literally saw that the other day.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
like, no. Don't. You can write the article, but don't say it like that. Dear Lord.
It's tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition.
Also, guys, buffer time is a very real phenomena.
I was going to say, it's not nothing to do with Scotty.
A lot of workplaces from crashing and burning. And I say this with
Just like this
personal
episode.
experience. I have been in that situation where someone comes in and says, well, if you were doing all this at the speed and pace that I think you should be doing it at, and not at the one that works for you, as a work team and as a workplace with what you're doing, then it will be all done my way. And then the whole thing just bursts into flames a week later, and you have to be like, yeah, that's the thing about the people who do this job all day, every day. We have a better idea of how to make it work long term than some guy who just kind of walked in a few minutes ago. Just saying.
Yeah, It's
I'm
so
not bitter.
weird.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
It's so weird, right? Because so the captain misses out on this diplomatic opportunity,
Yeah.
and obviously overcorrects. Right? She's frustrated with this, and she overcorrects, and she's like, oh, we don't get any respect, no respect at all, and then and she but I guess at the end of that arc. At the end of the episode, I'm like, there's definitely a middle ground here, right? Like, people actually probably shouldn't be having 6 margaritas a day, but then again, you should not work them as hard as you wanted to. I guess
they're synthahol, Daniel.
It's a 24-hour or 24-minute.
We don't know
cartoon.
that they're alcoholic margaritas.
Yeah, it's the Starfleet vessel. Those are replicators now.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
I mean, prevents any salt
we've-
monsters.
Anyone who's had a boss before, I think, has had to deal with the experience of them having a bad day and having it trickle down to everyone else through micromanagement or what have you. So I at least found the main plot to be relatable.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I liked it, but it's just like the whole so the captain's stupid too. Okay, well, yeah. It was a little disappointing. I was like,
We all have our moments of stupid.
I guess. I mean, I just want to, I don't know. I expect more from my 4 pips, I guess. But yeah. So, Daniel, what did you think of sort of the crew, the lower decks having to react? Well, I guess the upper decks too, but the lower decks having to actually. Now, as a gamer, Daniel, how did you feel about the fact that ensigns basically have to get their quest given on their pads, so they then have to click and then receive a new quest?
It's true. There are a lot of gamification, and in fact,
there's a lot of
Boimler,
upper commanding officers have exclamation points over their
yellow
head.
exclamation marks for sure. Yeah, and Boimler goes around and he wants extra ones. He's the one.
He's
that's
even doing
looking
side
for-
quests.
Yeah, he really
He's
is.
hogging the side quests. None of us are going to get any of that randomly generated loot if he keeps
That's
taking
right.
it.
He's just grinding.
Yeah, it's yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It was just kind of a weak sort of, okay, I see what's happening here. At first, I'll be honest, I was like, when they're like, oh man, we're going to Cardassia Prime and we're gonna sign the, I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna get some Star Trek lore expansion here. That's fun. And then it was a joke, which is fine.
Now the Cardassians are creeping everyone out.
Which is great. Which is a great line. Nobody wants to go to Cardassia Prime. Nobody wants to go there. But I was like, okay. And then it was just, okay. It was fine. It was fine.
Like I said, I'm waiting to see what the show does as it further plays out.
Yeah, no, I'm always looking forward to more. But this one was sort of like, What do you think, Darren, of buffer time? Is that how the Moser household runs?
Yeah, no, I liked the buffer time plot, and it was kind of predictable that of course he's going to reveal it to the captain, and then everyone's going to freak. I know, although no one ever finds out it was him, but
telling you such a Cameron thing to do.
Yeah, and then he does. I don't know. It was kind of interesting how, just everything falls off a cliff, and I'm like, it almost like it wasn't buffer time. It was on top of that unexpected, you got to get 30 things done in 20 things time. It was, everything fell apart. But I guess that's the point of what it's supposed to do. But it was fun though.
It did make me laugh a little bit just having TNG flashbacks. If you just think of every 7 seasons of TNG, of when they're doing scenes.
Geordi's like, it's going to take me an hour.
Well, no, it's much more people are always walking down the hallways, and you just see the extras just walking down the hallways.
That's true. Everyone's
They're just
strolling,
chilling.
and then you go to 10 forward, and it's always half full, and it's like, aren't you supposed to be working? Is that?
Doesn't anybody work on this ship?
I just assume
There's
they were
1,000
off
people on that ship. Yeah,
that's true, and they're apparently throwing out buffer time also throws out shifts, because apparently everybody's working at the exact same time and colliding into each other. And
now this was and I don't know if
they really got to work out their shift schedule better if that's how it's going.
That's right. Not like that stupid Delta shift.
they need to work.
Delta shifts.
They need to work on their mid-level management there. if your bottom rung people are really wasting that much time, somebody above it shouldn't go straight to the captain to fix that problem. That is hey, you know who that should be?
First officer.
That should be the XO's problem. That's a personnel issue right there.
I think the problem we're seeing here is that lower decks have been made lower priority.
Because his idea of commanding is just sort of standing there.
But let us pause and reflect on our great benefactor, Miles O'Brien.
I mean,
What?
we should every day. We
I mean,
truly
that was cool. I did see someone commented that they think that was kind of because O'Brien
comic.
was kind of the OG, like lower decks. Like
Oh,
he worked
definitely.
He worked his way up. You know, he was non-commissioned.
He's
and
just the guy who ran the transporter pad.
it's like
for
it's
long
just a
time.
transporter room, sir.
Yeah.
See, I almost instinctively thought it was a callback or reference to the comic strip.
I did think it was kind of an homage to
Could
that.
have been.
Yeah,
that
that's
would
what
have
it
made
could be.
sense.
Because it just had that visual of him at the
Yeah.
transporter pad.
I
that
think-
was-
I think it was
tired
more-
and dead inside.
Yeah, I think it was more just that was his original post. You know what I mean? Like that's the lower deck post.
So she's saying in that moment, the laziest and least productive member of all of Starfleet, and then up comes O'Brien. So is that what you're saying, Darren?
Yeah, he's a hard
Because that
worker.
poor man was tortured. For like 12 years. So
O'Brien's suffering is never ending.
That's true.
We
Like,
learned he's-
welcome
Look-
back from your trip to the Pa Wraith case. What happened, dear? Oh, you're possessed now. Great.
Where'd my child go? Oh, she's now time traveled and is now a cave woman. Okay, well that's
Wait, well,
Oh,
what
you-
about the other baby? Oh, someone else is carrying the other baby?
that's
Okay.
true.
My coworker is moving in with us now?
And I'm having weird sexual tension with her. Okay.
Okay.
you went to prison for 30 years in your mind? Oh, boy,
Man. Oh.
that sounds rough. That's too bad. So here's the thing.
It's tough to be O'Brien.
The like really obvious stuff, like we talked about, like on I think it was episode 1, where oh shoot, what's her name again? Oh, I always forget
There's
character
only
names.
4 choices. Mariner.
Mariner,
Andy?
thank you. Where Mariner starts literally name checking every character we know from Star Trek, and I'm like, okay, that's just too much. And then she's and then when they bring O'Brien in, it's like it's kind of funny, but it's also like, is this like it's kind of funny a little bit, but then I'm like, it's hard for me to let go of my mind. Like there's actually a class in the year 3000 or whatever that they're teaching about Chief O'Brien, and I'm like, and maybe that's just my brain, and that's totally fine if it is, but.
I was going to say from the get-go, I think that was kind of a risk with this whole the comedy animation genre, as we were probably going to see just a buttload of references nonstop, and sometimes the reference is just a reference for the sake of a reference.
Yeah, like, and again, this is a nitpick. Again, like I'm enjoying Lower Decks. We pick on what we love. But they did name check the Enterprise for the second time. I was like, okay, guys, we don't have to do that every episode.
I guess those are the cool kids in school, the ones that they're constantly arguing with, the ones that they're always trying to compete with and keep up with.
Yeah.
Those are the Ferris Buellers of that world.
I don't want to really. Picard's not really a Ferris, is he? Save Picard.
Why not make like another Cerritos class ship or whatever the class is,
California
and make it slightly better than them?
I want the USS Barstow.
What I gotta wonder is, maybe they are the slightly better ship, and there's another one out there that's just slightly worse. And then we're gonna see them someday, and they're just...
And then just
You thought these guys were zany and weird. Oof.
I think Mariner gets transferred there for an episode.
That's where she was transferred from. Who knows?
Cool. All right. Well, don't want to belabor anything else. But anyway, so any other highlights or lowlights from this episode, Grace, or anything even about the teaser for the next episode? We get
just
holodeck
excited.
apparently.
I do... It is a good time anytime something goes wrong on the holodeck. For the audience, not so much the characters. And based on what we've already seen of Mariner's choice in holodeck programs, I just kind of go, okay, show me what you got. Show me what you got.
I believe that is the name of the program. Darren, what about you?
Show me what you got.
.exe.
Yeah, no, I'm just disappointed we didn't get a time travel episode. Like, that's,
Yeah, right.
This was
Seriously,
not the time travel
we
episode.
get more.
So I'm sure we'll get some later, but it's
Yeah, I know. For those who listened last week when we had Robin on, I did have to text her on Slack that said this was not a time travel episode, so she probably did not watch it. So.
Do we know the title of next week's episode?
I was looking, I didn't see it.
Moist
no.
Vessel.
Oh, God, that's right.
Oh boy. Okay.
Wow.
I was hoping it was Sherlock Holmes inspired or something maybe, but no. Okay.
Can I bring a thing up though that now
Please
we've
do.
gotten to see in every episode the dude just hanging out in crew quarters wearing nothing but a towel. Like he's coming from the shower originally, and he still keeps showing up just wearing the towel.
That's funny. I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Ensign pantsless. I don't know what your deal is, dude, but I respect you.
That's right.
That is funny.
Well, they're right next to the shower, so I mean, Anyway, even though
Is
it's
it musty? They're sonic showers.
It was just interesting when they had like the crystal people. I couldn't figure out what they were like. I know nothing theoretically will ever bad really happen, but I'm like, are they just going to like start killing crew members who just don't seem to give an F? They're just walking around, just like attacking crew members who are just looking at their pads. Anyway.
The good news is, there's got to be one super new age crew member who is all about crystals and has like a collection. It's like, this one's for personal healing. That's gonna get them out of that jam.
And another
At
one's
least
like,
just have a great time with these guys.
another one's like, my uncle was killed by the crystalline entity, and they just have sort of.
Oh jeez.
And then they're like,
That'd be a good-
there's a crystalline entity?
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be a great.
Oh, can that be? That needs to be their church. Like
Yeah.
their church has a big banner, and they worship the crystalline entity.
That's their church, and they sing in the choir.
They're like, wait, Starfleet destroyed the crystalline entity? All out war.
Are you saying they have some sort of crystal cathedral? Is that right?
Hey, that's
And then
actually
there's a
interesting.
storm, and then it turns into a crystal gale, so...
Oh.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah, it's interesting, Philip. You mentioned that. Now I'm thinking about it. No one's died yet, right?
Well,
I don't think
knock on-
on the show.
I mean, we
Well, I
had
don't
some
know-
zombies, but no one really died. France
Yeah.
That we
ate
know
some of a person, as far as we know.
How much? Is the important part. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, like I said, I like the dramatic moments, that are small moments so far, and that's fine. I mean, I do like, they're having a little meaning. I mean, as the writer, I do always like to have some meaning and stuff, But I mean, I do like lots of jokes too. One part that I didn't get, I always this is the part we have every episode, the jokes Philip doesn't get. When because I guess I get it, but anyway, so during the bridge scene. When the captain, all the lower decks people didn't know what to do anything because they were all tired or whatever. And she's like, "Do I have to do everything myself?" But then, even when the tactical guy didn't know what to do, which I guess the reason was because the upper decks were also on no buffer time either. But I was just like, surely he knows how to raise shields. Anyway,
Or theory time. Theory
Go.
time.
do
The
it.
backup of the workflow from the lower decks is rising up and affecting the rest of the workflow for the ship. Because sometimes the shit does roll uphill.
That's what I thought. I thought
Yeah.
that they couldn't do anything because stuff downstairs wasn't working properly.
Yeah, because the
Everybody
systems
Oh,
aren't
that's
working
true.
right for them to access from the bridge.
So you hit the button to raise shields, but the shield compensator hasn't been degaussed since the last time, and just something.
I love the gals and the shield generators.
We got a. He also said that he was, the what is it called now from the Die Hard episode?
Yes. The Barrymont. I know what you're talking about. Barrel
Baryon
sweep.
Baryon sweep. He said he
Yes.
had to. He got to Baryon sweep the nacelle, and I was like, "Wait, you don't have to go to a starbase to do that anymore."
Now they just have a little, projector maybe that just sweeps
Technology
it a
is
piece at a time.
amazing. Technology is amazing and always progressing, even
right.
in the theoretical future.
Oh, good. All right. Well, cool. Like I said, it was enjoyable episode. But any final thoughts? Anyone else have anything to add before we? You have 15 seconds to have any final thoughts.
Man, Mariner really foot up, didn't she? She got stabbed through it.
Yes.
It's gonna be more than a scar. That's gonna be physical therapy, man.
Oh, yeah. And so, how do we? I guess how do we feel about any future tension between the first officer and Mariner?
Her mom's not going to like it. I bet you.
Maybe we're gonna
That's
get
gonna
that
be
whole
awkward.
"that's your mom" reveal thing.
Guess who's
80s
coming
guy.
to
That's
dinner?
True. I would, yeah, that's true. I would put another stock on him not knowing because I don't
Because
even
it'll
know.
be funnier if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Dramatic irony in the house.
Well, because it's
I'm
obvious the captain
dating my
doesn't want to tell
boss's
everyone.
daughter.
What?
I love that you all picked up what I was putting down there.
Luckily, he'll probably make some of those hamburger, I don't know, steamed hams, probably. All right. Well, Grace, where can folks find you on the interwebs to talk about all things Star Trek animated and non-animated? We don't have a word for
Well,
that yet.
you can listen to my podcast at Women at Warp. You can find us on Twitter at Women at Warp. And you can find me on Twitter at BoneCrusherJank, where you will get my fine, bespoke opinions on all topics, whether you want to hear them or not.
Awesome. And Darren, if folks want to talk to you about your regulations concerning the wearing of sleeves, where can they find you?
That's true. Roll those sleeves down. All right, and people can find me on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DRSCIFI.
All right, well, I was working that. And Daniel, if folks want to talk to you about how long it takes to repair a sick bay bed, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That's the number one, not the word. As in, I don't want to live in the future unless I can have at least one margarita per shift.
And folks can find me at NC Public Servant. Well, until next week, I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Brew.
I'm Darren Moser.
And I'm not on this show.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.